All right. Good afternoon, everybody. Joseph Miranda, broker, owner, Miranda Executive Realty. Thank you for stopping in for our latest installment of Ask the Broker. This is our elite training where we teach high-level things that you may not be able to learn anywhere else. But before we jump into it, I'm going to take a moment. Let's take some time for our shameless plug. If you're not an agent of Miranda Executive Realty, if you like what you hear and you want to learn more about the company, please scan the QR code here. And we'll be happy to, to discuss more about what we offer and how we can help you take your business from where you are to where you want to be. Again, my name is Joseph Miranda. I am the broker and owner of Miranda Executive Realty, but that's about where it ends. I am not an attorney. I am not a financial advisor. I am not a doctor. I'm not, the only thing I am, I'm just a real estate broker. The things that I tell you here are my opinions. These are my opinions on best practices and the way that, I do things myself in my business, but that's all they are, right? If I give you any advice in any other field besides, the real estate field, please seek out the proper professionals to get clarification on that. As we go along, if you have questions, you can, if you would be so kind, just type the question in the chat box, and then we'll get to it as soon as we can. If we can't get to your question during the training here, we'll be happy to answer any questions that you may have at the end. So what are we talking about today? Obviously a very popular topic based on all of the people that are here today. Thank you everybody that came out. We're talking about the etiquette standards of top producing agents, right? And you might say, well, what do I need to learn about etiquette? Right. Well, I would argue that a lot of real estate agents probably have a lot to learn about etiquette, right? Some things are common sense, and other things are maybe not so common sense. Other things, and again, this is just my opinion. This is my advice. This is how I operate. And some of this is through feedback that we've received over the years. So, number one, your reputation precedes you. Right, your reputation precedes you. What is your professional reputation? Do you have a reputation of being on time? I have friends, right, not professional, just friends, and their reputation is that they're always late. So when we're planning with these friends, we always plan to be late as well, because we've had enough times that we've been on time, and then we're sitting there waiting, whether it's in a parking lot, at the venue or whatever it is, and we're there, 15, 20, 30 minutes before they finally arrive. So when we say 5 o'clock, we already know in our heads, well, it's going to be 5:30. If they need to be there by 5 o'clock, we tell them to be there by 4:30. By telling them to be there by 4:30, then we know that they will be there by 5 o'clock, right? So, why does your reputation and your professional presence matter, right? Well, we got a little acronym for this, right? REAL. Reputation travels faster than marketing. And again, what is your reputation? When somebody says your name, what do they think? Always on time, always late, doesn't know how to spell, sloppy handwriting, blows me off, never calls me back. What is your reputation? Right? Every interaction creates or costs future deals. If you're working with a customer, or maybe even you're working with another real estate agent or somebody else if you're not a real estate agent and you're watching this, somebody in your field or your industry that, that you're closely aligned with, if they run if you have an interaction with somebody, that's one time. But if they run across you again, depending how that first interaction went, they're going to decide if they're going to want to work with you again or not, right? So as a real estate agent, if you're a buyer's agent and you send an offer and you're talking to the listing agent, you guys have a bad interaction. It doesn't work out. Maybe it was never going to work out. But down the road, let's say it's another 2 or 3 years down the road, and maybe now the roles switched, or maybe they didn't. But let's just say they do, and that listing agent's now sending, your property comes across their desk, and they say, oh yeah, that agent actually, I already know he's not, this, or he's not that. We shouldn't even consider that offer. It may cost you a deal down the road, right? So, if you have a good interactions, well, agents you face today may refer you tomorrow, right? They may, they may end up quitting the industry. They may whatever. I don't know. Who knows what's going to happen? But your reputation and your professional presence is a must, right? And when you present yourself as professional and nothing more, nothing less, just professional, right? Everything else is easier from there. Right. So when you have your professional standards and you live by your professional standards, then everything else gets easier. So where do you start? You start with where you're at, right? Know where you are, right? And know how to interact with the individual that you're interacting with. I asked our administrators when we were putting this together, I said, number one, let's talk about transaction coordinating. Right? How do you interact and what can you expect from a transaction coordinator? A transaction coordinator is not a personal assistant. It's not your executive assistant, right? They're not a licensed real estate agent, or at least not the ones in our office. Maybe, other transaction coordinators are licensed real estate agents, but they cannot, in our office, they cannot fulfill the roles that a real estate agent would do, right? Number one, I mean, obviously they're not going on showings, but they should not be negotiating. Negotiation is for the expert. Who's the expert negotiator in a real estate transaction? The real estate agent. That's why you're there. If you're a real estate agent and you don't know how to negotiate, you should probably go back and take some of our negotiation training, because that's kind of like real estate 101, knowing how to negotiate. What do they do? Compliance and file management, deadline tracking, and process execution. So compliance, file management, deadline tracking, that's kind of the big thing right there, right? Making sure that the file is within full compliance. So not just legally, but also making sure that, grammatically it's also correct. Make sure you have all the signatures, make sure you have all the initials, collecting and organizing the file, making sure that you have all of the addenda and all of the different contracts that you need for this file. They watch your deadlines, and then process execution. So they help with follow up, right? Ours go a little bit above and beyond, because they do so many transactions. Certain things like helping with verbiage. If you need to make an addendum, then they can help you with verbiage. Maybe they'll do more, but that's at their discretion. So treat them kindly, treat them nicely. This is the main role of a transaction coordinator. And going beyond this, asking them to do beyond this, it's going to be really difficult for them to do it, because that's just not what they're trained to do, right? A TC is not a licensed real estate agent, right? What about the admins, the administrators in the office, right? Number one, they are operational support. So they are here for the day-to-day. They're here to make sure that the day-to-day operations, right? Now, they do work directly with the agents because they're inside the systems, they're inside the tools, they're working with the leads, right? So they are actively doing, things inside the system that do affect the agents, right? That, they're sending leads. I mean, there's communication going on all day, pretty much every day, with the administrators in this office, because they're looking at our CRM, they're looking at our back office systems, they're managing the the email accounts. I mean, they're managing pretty much everything inside there, right? But that's where it ends. I know that they're administrative, but they're not personal assistants, right? Again, they do go above and beyond, and they do extra things that that really a traditional administrator will not do, because absolutely we support our agents, right? And that comes from the top. The agents are number one for us. We always will. We just want to make sure that our administrative team is able to effectively do their job as well, right? What about with the broker? What am I here for? I'm here for everything, right? I am here for everything. Transaction advice and oversight. If you have a question that is specific to a transaction, a legal question on a transaction, I would be your first point of contact, right? Because my job is to protect the agent and to protect the brokerage. So if there's ever any doubt on anything, this is where you're going to reach out to the broker. If you have a problem with another agent, you can reach out to the broker. Right now, that doesn't mean that I can solve that problem. I know a recurring issue that we have, and we're actually going to get to this soon. A recurring issue that we have is that you're trying to get in to go see a listing and you can't reach out, you can't reach the listing agent. There's really nothing that we can do about that. We've even gone as far as reach out to the broker as well, but it turns out in a lot of cases, this behavior is a top-down type of behavior. So even the broker sometimes won't even respond. We can't control what other agents do. We can't control what other brokers do. We can file a complaint, but what good does that do? Right? It still doesn't get you into the listing. Right now, they're not serving their customers. They're not doing the right thing. And we, in our brokerage, we don't do that. Right? We always respond. We always get back to people. Right? So on that same vein, what are some communication etiquettes? Right? What are things that when, there's a lot of communication that goes back and forth, whether it's text message, whether it's email, like whatever it is. There's a lot of things that come up in communication. Well, number one, do it now. That's my rule. That's my rule. Like literally, I do it now. So if somebody texts me and I'm in the middle of something, if I can respond to them to that text message right now, I will. And if I can't, I don't open it. And the reason I don't do that is so that, like, I have an iPhone, so a little blue dot stays next to all of my unopened messages. Later on, when I have the time and I can sit down and I can start responding to these, I'm gonna open it and I'm gonna respond to it right now. If I open it and with the intention of okay later on, and I read it and then I intend to later on respond to that message, I might forget. Do it now. What about an email? Do it now. There's no, if you took the time to open an email, you took the time to open a text message, just whatever it is that the request that's inside there, do it right now. Number one, you're going to get a reputation. You're going to get a reputation of responding quickly. I know an insurance agent, and his reputation is that he responds very quickly. He always responds right now, right now, right now. Right? Even if I don't have the answer to that, but I'm going to get it for you. Just, stand by and I'll have the answer for you. And in a matter of time, he does get it back. Right? What reputation do you want? Because you are building a reputation based on the speed with which you respond to these different forms of communication. Right? What would be professional communication? Right? What would be a way that we would talk here professionally about how you communicate? Number one, at the very top of this list, professional tone, no emotional outburst. We're real estate agents. We have no skin in the game. Right? We got some time in this. But we shouldn't have money necessarily invested. I mean, I know if you have a listing, you get some marketing stuff, marketing costs, things like that. But, if you can't afford it, then maybe you shouldn't do it. I don't know. Right. But to get emotional at any stage of negotiation, whether you're negotiating with your customer on a listing price, on what they want to offer, whether you're dealing with another real estate agent, whether you're dealing with a property inspector, mortgage, insurance, it doesn't matter who you're communicating with, getting emotional is not allowed. There's no crying in real estate, right? Not when you're in front of people. You want to go home later, go in your bedroom, go take a shower and stop like violently in those private areas. That's fine. Totally fine. You're allowed to do whatever you want on your own time, but in the presence of other professionals, there's no emotion involved because we're not here to serve ourselves. We're here to serve our customer. And if you're a professional, then you know how to control your emotions, and you'll understand that by controlling your emotions, you're actually going to be serving your client to the highest standard because you are the calm in the storm. When everybody else is yelling, you're calm, you're cool. Even if you're being attacked, I've been attacked by other agents on showings. I've literally been attacked by other agents on showings, looking for condo docs. and the agent can't get the condo docs, and we're at the inspection, and he starts yelling at me and telling me it's my fault, and I'm just like, cool, dude. You can't get them, that's fine. But just know that, you know, we did request them, and we still do have time to review them. It's up to you if you get them or not. I don't care, right? You can yell at me all you want. I don't care. Do I care if you yell at me? No. Me yelling back, does that make me look good? No, actually, when we left that inspection, my buyer was like, wow, you handled that really well, Joe. I earned points because that agent lost his cool, right? Over condo docs. Why does that agent even care about that? Just get the condo docs, dude. Makes sense, right? Clarity is greater than length. I need to learn that lesson because I can just talk and talk and talk and talk and talk and talk and talk. But just speak clearly and precisely, and there's no reason to ramble. Don't ramble in your explanation of something. The more you ramble, the less professional you sound. The more you ramble, the less it sounds like you know. I use like astrophysics a lot as an example because it's a very complicated subject matter. But an astrophysicist could probably explain these very complex terms in a very, very brief sentences, right? Like Albert Einstein took complicated situations and he made them simple, right? Sir Isaac Newton, same thing. They took these complicated, what goes up must come down, right? That's famous. Everybody knows what goes up must come down, right? And it's a complicated subject like gravity and matter, but they broke it down and they made it very simple. Don't over-explain. The way that I'm over-explaining this subject right here, right now, don't do what I'm doing. Make it simple, right? Clarity is greater than length. You don't need to beat a dead horse. Just say what you need to say and move on, right? If it's not documented, it never happened. This is huge, especially when there's a problem, but even when there's not a problem. If you begin to run into professional issues with somebody, they're not fulfilling their terms of you know, their obligations, or they're not getting back to you or whatever. If I call somebody repeatedly and they don't answer, I'm going to begin texting them as well. And if they continue to not respond, then I'm probably going to email them. Now I have a sequence of what I'm doing, covering myself. If you have a phone call and the phone call, certain things are said or agreed to, certain things fell apart, certain things changed, whatever it is, follow that phone call up with probably an email, but even a text message. Put what was said in writing. Because if you don't, right, and all you got to do, simple, hey, Sam, thanks for your time. Just want to clarify our conversation. On the call, we said this, 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 and this. If Sam doesn't respond, then he probably agreed. Then, you know, 10, 15 days down the line, when he says, oh, I never said that. Well, yeah, you did. And I actually sent an email that reiterated what you said. And, you know, yeah, you didn't respond, but you didn't tell me that this was not what was said. Did you not get that email? Right? Carbon copy intentionally, not emotionally. Be careful who you're putting in the messages and for what purpose, right? I'm going to give you a quick tip because I don't think it's covered in here, right? But here's what I do. So in our office, you guys don't know we use Google Workspace. Google Workspace, we pay to upgrade, so we have Gemini, which is, you know, Google's version of AI. And a lot of times I'll write a message and I'll read it and it sounds rude because it is rude. Because I don't know how to respond in a polite way because this person got under my skin, right? They irked me. So what do? I ask Gemini to retype my email and make it sound more polite. And you can do that, right? You can do that. Now you said the same thing. Maybe you even got the, you know, the therapy of typing out this, you know, emotional outburst of a response, but you get the benefit of sending a polite email so you don't end up looking, you know, like an angry, you know, rude individual, which if you can avoid looking angry and rude, you will always win, right? A little bit of professional courtesy goes a long way. and it creates a lot of cooperation. When you're not rude with people, when you're courteous, when you're professional all the time, people want to work with you, including other real estate agents. If they have a choice to make between an easy real estate agent and a complicated real estate agent, they're going to choose easy every single time. I always tell agents I'm easy to work with. I don't complicate. I don't get down in the muck with things because it's not my place to be emotional in this instance. When I'm selling my own house, when I'm buying a house, sure, maybe I can get emotional, but not in a transaction where I'm just the real estate agent. There's no room for emotion there. Professional courtesy. Don't be crazy, man. Right? When you have a problem, how do you loop your broker in? There's a right way to do it. Right? Here it is right here. Let them know that the broker's on the line. Right? Let the other agent know that, hey, I'm putting my broker in here. If they want to bring their broker in, that's fine too. Right? But there's no need for me to be on every email. It's just not necessary. In fact, what can happen is it can actually create controversy, or it can create some friction. Right? You don't want, because now they feel like you're bringing this, this kind of like higher authority into the transaction, but for what purpose? If you're just writing an offer, you don't need a broker. If you're negotiating, you don't need a broker. You need the broker when things kind of go sideways and you're not sure what the solution is. Right? The broker's kind of that, you're bringing in the professional opinion. Right? If you have a good broker, you'll have to decide for yourself if you have a good broker. I don't know. Right? I can't tell you that. I think you do, but you'll have to decide that. Right? So you looped your broker in. Now, how do you write the message? Right? Number one, don't issue blame. Because the minute you go on the offensive, right? The minute you go on the offensive, the minute they go on what? The defensive. They're going to go on defense, and then what are they going to do? Then they're going to go on offense, and they're going to push it back to you. Right? So don't start and don't get down in the muck with the blame game. Right? Just deal with the problem, deal with the issue. That's all you need to do. Right? You don't need to get down in the muck of, well, you said this and you did this and you did that. I will never do that. I will never do that. If anything, I will take responsibility for where I messed up. Hey, look, I know that, I should have done it this way, and I acknowledge that it was done incorrectly. We're here to move this, and I want to, see what we could do to get this thing moving forward again. Right? Take some of the responsibility where it falls. A little bit of self-awareness goes a long way, right? Because what's the goal? Right? What's the goal? The goal is to resolve the issue. You're under contract and something happens, and maybe it's your fault, maybe it's their fault. It doesn't even matter. Does it matter? Does the customer really care who did what wrong, or does the customer just want to continue to move forward? Right? I mean, unless your customer is like a Kardashian, they don't want drama. Right? Your customer just wants to get through the transaction so that they can get to the, whatever it is their goal was. They need to be in a house by this time. They need to sell by this time. They need to make so much money. What's their goal? That's the focus. It's not on who's right or who's wrong. If you lose focus of your customer's wants and needs, then you're wrong. Like, plain and simple. Right? So, when there's a problem, you're going to go to the person directly. Right? You're not going to go anywhere else. Even when there's a problem, unless you need to, you don't need to tell your customer. Our job is not to bring our customer into every issue. In fact, our job is to make our customer's experience as pain-free and smooth as possible. Right? The road to hell is paved with good intentions. That sucks, right? Because sometimes we're the hero and our customers don't even know that we're a hero. Like, there's so many times where I held something together and it felt like everything was going to crumble and everything was going to fall apart. And because of, I know it, and I know because of what I did, this transaction came together and it closed. And because I didn't want to put that stress on my customer didn't even know that it happened. And they like, and it kind of sucks because it's like, well, look at this amazing thing that, you know, that I did, but I can't tell my customer, because by telling my customer this, then they're going to, you know that, you know, this other thing happened. And I'm not saying, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying cover up and conceal things from your customer. I'm just saying, if it doesn't materially affect the transaction, there might not be a reason. If you're dealing with a real estate agent that's, you know, irresponsible, immature, you know, is emotional, difficult to work with, a real estate agent that wants to make decisions for their customer, right? Those kind of things don't necessarily need to be translated to our customer. I've dealt with some very difficult agents in my career, and my customer never knew, because I cut out all the fat, and I just gave to my customer what my customer needs, right? That's professionalism. And it doesn't matter if your customer knows that you're a hero or not, because when you get it, when you get it to the finish line, right? When you get your transaction to the finish line and they've achieved their goal, you are the hero. And then later on, maybe you could tell them, like, yeah, I had one. I told him, yeah, that agent was crazy, and the customer was like, I had no idea. I'm like, oh yeah, that agent, yeah, truly a very crazy agent. And you know, and again, that person, their reputation will precede them if I ever run into them again. And I'll tell you, Southeast Florida real estate is a very small world. It's a very small world. You know, there's only a few big players down here. You know, it's just like everything else. There's the 1%, there's the 5%, there's the 10%, there's the 20%. And if you burn a bridge with any one of those categories, it's likely you're going to run into them again. If you're in that category, it's likely they're going to run into you again, because you're a player. And if you're a player, then you're going to have run-ins with other players, even the bench warmers when they come in and they want to play every now and then. Right? Next, professional de-escalation. We talked about this a little bit. You know, the number one thing is just stay calm and neutral. This is not our transaction. We're here, again, we are the calm in the storm. And again, ChatGPT can help you, or not ChatGPT, sorry, Gemini. Well, ChatGPT if you want, but I use Gemini. Gemini can help you a lot when it comes to wording something that is very rude and inconsiderate, and just word this in a more polite way. Keep your eye on the goal. What's the goal? Right? What's the goal? And by me getting, upset or even matching the energy of the other agent, does it help the goal? There is a time to match the energy, right? Like I'm not saying to get bullied. I'm not saying get pushed around. You have to stand your ground, right? Like that's what any good agent is going to do. It doesn't mean you're a pushover. Don't be a pushover. There's no room in this industry for to be scared, right? You have to stand your ground, right? But don't stand your ground like this lady is right here. Clearly, this is a married couple, I think, right? And this guy is not happy. She's probably telling him, all of the things that he did wrong. She's probably telling him, how he could do it better. She's probably telling, this is the fourth time I've done this. Maybe he could do better. I don't know, right? Don't be a nag, right? Don't be psychotic. Don't be a trigger to people where when they see your name, they're just like, oh, you don't want to be that. I've had agents like that where they're just on you and on you and on you. They tell you to do something. They don't even give you time to get it done before they follow up on it. And it's like, that couldn't have even been done that fast. And, like, give me some time to get it done. Right? There's ways to do it. There's professional timelines. Make sure that somebody has enough time to do what you ask them to do. Make sure they know, make sure that they know what the assignment is. right? And then make sure you just follow up in a polite way. Hey, just circling back on this, how we doing here? Simple, right? Not, hey, I haven't heard from you in a day. Why aren't you getting back to me on this? I don't know. It's just different, right? Be polite. Definitely be polite, right? Boundaries and accountability. Again, we talked about this. Probably no reason to to sit and beat a dead horse on this one. But to me, the biggest one here, or the biggest ones, right? You've got to own it if it's yours. So again, self-awareness goes a very long way in this business, in this industry. There must be a self-awareness. So many people lack self-awareness. So many people, like, it's just like so many things that are just so common and so simple, but they don't have the self-awareness. It's huge. If you don't know who you are, ask somebody. They'll tell you. Ask the 5 closest people in your life, right? Who am I? Do I take responsibility, or do I always try to blame other people? Am I proactive or am I reactive? Right? Ask Gemini, ask ChatGPT, right? Hey, ask me 20 questions and tell me who I am. It'll tell you. There's ways to become more self-aware, but self-awareness is a huge thing. Know who you are. Know your strengths and know your weaknesses. If you don't know your strengths and you don't know your weaknesses, then you don't really know where you're at in anything. Are you a strong negotiator? Right? Are you strong strategist? Are you good at getting back to people, or are you very bad at getting back to people? Are you always on time, or are you always late? Do people enjoy your stories, or do you kind of drone on and on and on and on and they get bored? There's so many different examples. Have you read the real estate contract, or do you just fill in the blanks? Right? Who are you? You should. Self-awareness. And when you're self-aware and you can figure out your weaknesses, your weakness may never be a strength, but it doesn't need to be a weakness. Maybe your weakness could become a strength. Maybe you're the agent that doesn't read the contracts. And you just decide, yeah, you know what, from now on, I'm going to read the contracts and I'm going to understand the contracts. I'm going to be able to explain the contract. Now it could become a strength, right? But, not everything can become a strength, right? Birds fly and fish swim. Not everybody's a duck, because they fly and swim. But just keep in mind in this entire thing, everybody, all the real estate agents, they say you're competitors, right? They're competitors, but they're not adversaries. They're competitors because they have conflicting interests. Their customer has a conflicting interest to our customer's interest. So you're a competitor, but it's friendly competition. And at the end of the day, you all want the same thing. You want it to close. Even the buyer and seller want the same thing. They may want it by a different means, right? Buyer wants to pay less and seller wants to charge more. But at the end of the day, the victory is the same, right? They're playing the same game. Once you've gotten through the negotiations, now you're all playing the same game, because you went from, okay, each of you had a different goal, but once you get through the negotiations, now you share a common goal. And that's to get it closed. Don't get lost on that. A lot of agents do get lost on that. Bring them back to that. I've literally had to tell agents before, I feel like you don't want this transaction to close. I literally said those words, because there's people that they literally just behave that they don't want the transaction to close. And I wonder why. In real estate, there should be no losers. There are, right? There are people that definitely lose in real estate, but there really should be no losers. When you've done a good deal, everybody wins. The buyer wins, the seller wins, you win, the other agent wins, the lender wins, the insurance company wins, everybody wins. A good deal, everybody walks away happy. It's not our job to crush and destroy the other side. And I think people get confused on that. Your customer has needs. It's our job to get our customer what they need. It's our job to get our customers what they want. But that doesn't necessarily involve destroying the other side. Right? Now, sometimes the other side gets confused on that and they come after us. They do. I've had it where they come after us. And, so we always need to protect ourselves. You're always in a position of strength. You don't put yourself in a position of weakness, because if you're in a position of weakness and the other side wants to exploit it, then you're in trouble. If you're in a position of strength, but they think they have a weakness on you, then they're in trouble. What's an example? What if you're on the listing side and on the buying side, they're not paying attention to the loan commitment deadline? On the listing side, it's not my job to remind the buyer's agent that, hey, your loan commitment's coming up. I'll let it pass. And then we'll just assume that it's approved. But if they come to us after that and they start acting crazy, I'm just going to politely remind them that, oh, by the way, here's where we are, right? And I'll just politely remind them and put them back in their place. Always be in a position of strength. But that doesn't mean that you need to come in and just destroy people. It just means that you have the upper hand, and if you need to, you can play that hand. Maybe you never have to, right? What about in person? In person, right? Number one, your first impression. Your first impression really does last a lifetime. If you give a bad first impression, it's going to be very hard to overcome that, especially with a real estate customer, right? Dress for success, be on time, be a little bit early at your first appointment. Be a little bit early, not crazy early, because then you just look too eager and crazy, but be a little bit early. Leave early, because what's something that South Florida is famous for? Traffic. What else? Like bad weather that seemingly comes out of nowhere. And those two things will make you late. So leave a little bit early. If you know that it's going to be a 35-minute drive, there's nothing wrong with leaving 40 or 45 minutes before the appointment. I've gotten to appointments where I felt like it was way too early and I just had to drive around the neighborhood, right? Or I go park somewhere. But I'd rather be early and have to do that than to be stressed out late. I've also been late to appointments. I was late to one last week. I missed my exit. My fault, because I cut it just a little bit too close. In my defense, I was already driving 100 miles an hour. So I was probably already running a little bit late. But I let the customer know. So while I was driving, I did the irresponsible thing, and I texted him and I told him, I said, hey, what did I do? I hit traffic. Right? Hope he's not watching this video. He's not. But I'm just saying, stuff happens. Stuff happens. But if I would have left 15 minutes earlier, I wouldn't have been late. Right? Proper planning prevents poor performance. Right? Active listening is a big one. Don't listen with the intention to respond. Listen with the intention to understand. And your response is a question for deeper understanding. Right? Your response, you're not here to, if you're dealing with a customer, you need to understand their needs, not change their needs. You're not here to change their mind and make them, maybe they need to look at things a little bit differently. I don't know, but you're not here to change their mind. You're here to listen to what they're telling you so that you can give them the best advice possible based on what they've told you. Right? Personal space. Don't flirt with the spouse. That's a really bad idea. Right? Definitely respect that. Neighbors are a big deal, because I've sold neighbors' houses before. After I sold this house, down the road, this neighbor sells. Something that's not on here, something that's big for me. It's very big for, a couple things that are big for me. I don't think they're in here, and I think this would be the time probably to mention these. Number one, your breath. Don't have bad breath. And if you suffer from bad breath, Again, a little bit of self-awareness goes a long way. If you suffer from bad breath, don't talk into their nose, right? Talk around them. If you're a big coffee drinker like me, make sure you brush your teeth before you head that way, right? Weird hands, clammy hands, oily hands are disgusting. If you have that, then just give a fist bump. There's nothing wrong. Since COVID, a fist or an elbow is now acceptable, right? They tried the shoe thing. I think that's weird, but a fist or like a fist bump, especially with the guy, to me is acceptable. And for somebody like me, it's preferred, because sometimes I shake somebody's hand and I'm like, I can't wait to go wash this hand, because their hand, I don't know what the hell was on it, but it felt disgusting. I hate shaking hands. It's disgusting. It really is. Like, it's a terrible habit. Like, you don't know, don't pick your nose before you shake a hand, right? But I'll bet people have picked their nose before they, sorry. Okay, now I'm going crazy. But this is where my head goes. I hate shaking hands. I'll take a fist bump any day. I will appreciate a fist bump, right? But if you do shake hands, make sure your hand's not gross. Don't, like, even if it's just lotion that's on there for like women, or if it's like an oil, if you have like, dry hands, make sure it has time to absorb, right? Like, clean fingernails, make sure your hands look clean. These things matter. Clean fingernails are like huge for men, because some men just have like disgusting fingernails, right? Clean your fingernails. Sorry, that's my little side note. Breath and hands. Make sure, right? I mean, we already know dress for success. So what does it matter if you look like $1 million if your breath stinks and your hands are dirty? Like, is anybody going to deal with you? Right? You could be right on time. You could be the greatest listener in the world, but I don't care what you hear me say if your fingernails are like just disgusting, right? Or your hand was slimy. If your hand was slimy and I shook your hand, I guarantee you the entire time you're talking to me, the only thing I'm thinking about is washing my hands, because your hand was disgusting. So just saying, don't do that, right? Meeting, conferences, and networking. Oh, did I miss one? I did. Ooh, this is huge. This is a huge one, right? Agents. Never say a bad thing about another real estate agent. Doesn't mean you got to say nice things about the agent, but never, ever say something bad about another real estate agent. It looks unprofessional. It looks totally unprofessional. You could, there's a way to tell the truth without looking like you're just trying to like destroy this person, right? The agent will tell on themselves anyway. But like, let's say you get an offer from an agent that you had a bad experience with before. You can say that without like going down and getting grimy with it, right? There's no name calling or any of that. You can say, look, I've ran into that agent before. This agent's actually very difficult to deal with. And you can leave it at that, right? You don't have to start calling that person names and just really getting down, maintain professional, right? If you're talking about the facts, that's one thing. Start putting your opinion in there, that's gossip, right? If there is an agent, I mean, you don't need to focus on all the negatives with the agent. But don't ever put an agent down. Don't say negative things about an agent, about a brokerage, about a lender. Like, it just makes you look unprofessional. You can speak the facts. If it's relevant to this conversation, sure, cool, say it if it's relevant. But there's no reason to add a bunch of irrelevant details, right? In general, you're going to praise in public. Why am I so far? Okay, yeah, here we go. Yes, in general, praise in public, correct and decline in private. That's your whole life. That's your whole life. This is not just professional etiquette. This is like etiquette 101. This is with your kids, with your spouse, with your employees, with your boss. Like, this is literally with everybody. Doesn't matter where you're at. You never correct or decline in public. Like who likes to be scolded in public in front of people? It's demeaning. It's embarrassing. It's, you know, it's just, it's, you know, it's not, it doesn't make that person feel good. And, you know, Mother Teresa, you know, people might not remember what you said to them, but they'll remember how you made them feel. This is right there in that vein. Right? Now, praise them in public, 100%. All praise should be public. Don't tell me I'm great in private. Well, you can, right? But make sure that at the same time, the world knows your opinion of me when it's good. But also don't tell me I'm terrible and I sucked and I did a really bad job and here's what I need to do better in public. Because it's going to demean me. It's going to make me feel bad. But at the same time, everybody else that reads it, it looks bad on you as well. There's no reason to correct or even decline something publicly. Rejection should happen privately. That's a one-on-one. Praise should happen with everybody. Because while you're praising that person, you're also building a reputation for yourself. You know, do you want to be the encourager or do you want to be the discourager? You want to be the encourager. Hey, this person's always encouraging me and making me feel good. This person's always doing this, right? They're going to remember how you make them feel. And sometimes people say and do things and a lot of time goes on and they can kind of, you know, you can move on from it, but you're never going to forget that feeling. When you see that person 5 years down the road, you might be like, I don't remember what happened exactly, but there's something about that person that I don't like. Right? Because we don't all have crystal clear memories that go all the way back and remember every detail, but you're going to remember there's something about that person. There's something about them that I just don't like. Right? And that person is going to behave accordingly. Right? This should encompass literally your entire life. Right? What about when you're in meetings, conferences, you're at a networking event? Let me tell you a mistake that I make constantly. I constantly make this mistake. I make this mistake. I feel like nobody else makes this mistake except for me. So I joke with the people around me that know me. I tell them, you know, on my private time, I'm more like the homeless broker. Right? Why am I like the homeless broker on my private time? Because I'm the guy that likes to wear sweats and a t-shirt and like maybe not necessarily shave and have like messy hair. Right? Like I'm that guy. I prefer that. I'm comfortable like that when I'm at home. So arrive prepared and dressed appropriately is not always me. In more than one occasion, I can tell you I have been extremely underdressed and not prepared with my attire. Don't do that. Don't be me. What's the rule? Right? In these situations, dress to the highest standard of your profession. Okay? Because every profession has a different standard. In these situations, when you go to a meeting, a conference, or you're going networking, dress to the highest standard of your profession. If you're a general contractor, the highest standard of your profession might be a pair of jeans and a polo shirt. If you're a real estate agent, the highest standard is a suit. I don't wear ties, not hardly. I should say a suit and tie, but I don't wear a tie, and I don't want to get called out on that later. But the highest standard, you should wear a suit. So meetings, conferences, networking, for a man, it should be a suit. For a woman, you could wear a suit, you know, a plain colored dress. I'm not here to tell women how to dress. I don't know, right? Like, but you don't want to stand out, in my opinion. Like, you wouldn't want to necessarily wear like, like crazy attire that stands out either, right? When you're in, I mean, maybe you want to stand out. I don't know. You figure that part out. But I know for a man, as a real estate agent, the highest standard, you should wear a suit, right? When you're in meetings, conference, networking, recognize everybody. You should recognize everybody. They're here for that reason, especially conferences and networking. But even meetings, make sure everybody feels recognized. Even if you're not running the meeting, make sure everybody is recognized, right? Always respectful, always positive, always listening. 2 ears, 1 mouth. There's a reason for that. And like the #1 golden rule that people still break, put your phone on silent. Don't take calls and walk out. Step out. You got to take a call. We're all business people. We all have stuff going on. We all have families, right? But don't, you use the etiquette, right? Make sure that you are observing proper etiquette with cell phone usage. To go to a conference or meetings and be on your phone, especially in a meeting, you're on your phone the entire time. That's not good etiquette. The person presenting should have your full attention. Even on like video conference, on video calls, the presenter, especially if your camera's on, can see if you're looking down at your phone. I can see some people here looking down on their phone. You guys probably can too. All right, I think they're on mute. All right, so what's your call to action? Right, we just actually Irene created an infographic for us. Right, this is really it. The foundation of this is your reputation and lasting success. That's the foundation. That's what's going to take you. Everything else builds on that foundation of your own personal reputation. Right? If you make a mistake, own it. If they make a mistake, deal with it and deal with it with proper etiquette. Right? Your relationships are over you. Right? The customer comes first. You put yourself second. And that's really, when you understand that the customer is first, that's how you keep the emotion out of it. Because there's no room for us to have emotion in this. Right? Always be respectful, always be professional, always. There's never a time to get ratchet. Right? There's never a time to go crazy. Always be professional, and that will always be the shining standard. And always respond 100% of the time. Right? Are we going to fall short in any of these? Yes, absolutely we will. You will fall short probably on every single one of these because we're human. And other people on the other side are absolutely going to fall short on these as well. We need to give grace and we need to give mercy to everybody, right? And just understand that, look, at the end of the day, this is about one thing. This is about serving my client and helping to get my client exactly what it is that they want in this transaction. This is not about me. This is not about what I want. It's not about what I need. This is about my client. And when you focus enough and you help enough people achieve what it is they're looking to achieve, then pretty soon you're going to have a room full of people that you've helped achieve what they need to achieve. And they're all going to help you achieve what it is that you're looking to achieve. When you have the right objective, you have the right goal, you will never have a problem reaching your goals. Because in our job, our career, we're helping other people achieve their dreams. And those people in turn see our efforts and they help us achieve the things that we hope to achieve as well. Right? And that's anybody. That's not just our customers. That's our vendor partners. That's the other agent across the way. That's everybody. Right? You go farther together than you do alone. Right? This is a team game. Sometimes we're competitors, but we're never adversaries. We're always on the same team, right? We're always working towards the same goal. Well, not always on the same team, but we're always working towards the same goal, right? Always, always, always. And don't get confused about it. And don't let the other agent be confused about that either. That's it there. So hope you guys found some help in that. Hopefully there was a little bit of value in what I said, and maybe that'll make your next transaction a little bit smoother. Does anybody have any questions, or is there? Here's a bigger thing. Is there an etiquette or a relationship etiquette that I missed? Is there something in here that you've run into that you think should have been added to this training for etiquette? Is there any type of etiquette that I missed?
I just want to add, Joe, one, awesome. Thank you so much. It's really helpful. The other thing that I wanted to add was, if you're at a showing, like yesterday, I had a showing in Fort Lauderdale. I'm not gonna give the address, but it reeked of marijuana smell or weed smell or ganja smell, however you want to say it. But instead of like sending like a humiliating feedback to the listing agent, I actually sent him a text and also followed up with a phone call, because number one, it's a vacant property. So maybe he's not sure somebody's getting in there and smoking weed or using it for their hotel accommodation. But he was really thankful that I connected with him and I told him about the smell, because now he knows, right? So now he's going to be more vigilant when it comes to his listing. But he appreciates that, I didn't send that feedback where his seller could see it, because then he's going to look like someone who's not paying attention to his listing. So, however you can, or we can all help each other out, whether they're in the same brokerage or not, or you came across something that, okay, that doesn't sound right. It doesn't look good. Maybe this agent could use a help out. I think just like what Joe said, it will go a long way, because they will remember your kindness. They will remember how helpful you have been. So think about that whenever you're showing, or even if you're a listing agent and you receive an offer from clearly a newbie, right? And clearly their broker is not as helpful as Joe, or having having Irene and Ja behind them. Help out, really, they will remember it.
Yeah, that's great advice. Yeah, we're not here to destroy the other person. Yeah, a little bit will definitely go a long way. And let me add one more to that. Something that drives me crazy. Now, if you know me long enough, you know that I don't really care about a lot of things. So it is just kind of is what it is. And I know my customers are always loyal. I don't think I've ever lost a customer this way, not that I can think of. But when you're working with the buyer and you go to the showing and the listing agent's there, and the listing agent gives a flyer with their information, or even worse, they give your customer their business card. Like, that is so tacky to me. Like, it looks so bad. And I've even had my customers, like, literally right there in front of the agent. Oh, no, give that. He's my agent over here. Give your business card to him. Right? Now that agent looks like an idiot, because they try. I don't care. Give my customer your business card. I literally could not care less. Right? Like, okay, cool. Like, my customer couldn't have gone on Zillow and looked up, 120,000 real estate agents that they wanted to work with. Right? You think that because, you gave the business card, that now my customer is going to call you? Like, I'm not insecure. Give it to them. But it makes that agent look bad. I don't care. I don't say anything. Right? I've had customers, after we leave, they're like, I don't know why he gave me his business card. Customers know. People know what loyalty is. We're not fooling anybody. So don't, if you're the listing agent, don't, if I have a flyer, the only time I'll give it to a customer is if it's non-branded, if there's nothing on it, right? Then I do have stuff that I get that I want to give to customers. I have a listing in Fort Lauderdale where our price per square foot is the best like ever. And I want customers to see that, but there's no branding on it. And if there is branding on it, I'm going to give it to the agent and say, hey, here's the comps. Just want to point out the price per square foot, and then I give it to the agent. The agent agents have given stuff to me with their branding on it, I'd give it to my customer. I don't care, right? That's me, but it does look tacky when you hand your branded materials directly to the other agent's customer, especially now because we know that almost everybody has an agency. So, you know, it doesn't matter. They've already signed and they've committed for so many months with this agent. So you're not doing yourself any favors by doing that. 102, a little bit over on time. Anybody have anything else? Any other etiquette, I don't know, opinions that you guys have run into out there? All right. So to summarize, don't smoke weed and don't give your business card. That's it. So, all right, guys, thank you so much. Oh, real quick, don't go. Next slide. We are doing our next in-person training is next week. This has been very poorly marketed, so badly marketed, and it's all my fault, right? But take these details. This is going to be home inspection and home insurance. This is going to be a very informative training, whether you're a new agent or experienced agent. I guarantee you that you're going to learn something. This is here to train you and teach you, right? This is that's the only reason these guys are showing up. But if you don't want to learn, that's okay. There's also going to be food. So if you don't want to learn but you're hungry, just come for the food. I don't care, right? But I hope to see you there Tuesday, February 17th, 11:30 to 1. There'll be a little bit of open networking in the beginning, and then, you know, probably a little bit of networking at the end. There's going to be a lot of food there, and there's going to be a lot of really good information. If you have insurance questions, property inspection questions, this would be the time to bring those as well. Everybody's invited. So, you know, if you've got somebody else that's in the industry, they don't have to just be a real estate agent. It could be a lender. I don't know who else would come, but it could be anybody. But if you know other real estate agents that would benefit from this, please invite them as well. We will share this also in the chat so that everybody has that. But I would love it if you guys can make it out there. I'll be there. Again, this has been somewhat poorly marketed, but we're hoping to still have a good turnout. So,
Joe, can I just add something?
No. Yes,
well,
please.
Guys, just put it on your calendar. It's every third Tuesday of the month. There's a lunch and learn so that, you know, okay, in March we have something going on if it's poorly marketed, but it's already there. So don't worry about it.
We'll do better. We'll do better. Yeah. The next one in March is already in the works. We've got some really cool speakers coming up. You know, right now we're real deep in into like still the real estate industry, but you know, we're going to step out. One of them, we're going to talk about closing gifts, things that you can do to you know, really make, you know, the after closing special for your customers. So, you know, we're really doing a lot, you know, starting to do a lot of things to take us out of just training, you know, best practice in real estate sales, and training you on everything else. You know, we'll have the trades coming in, and this is to make you better. So now you can speak on something that you didn't take a class for, but you're going to be able to speak a little bit more intelligently. You know, what's the difference between HO3 and HO6 insurance? You know, if you don't know that, come out, you know, you probably will walk away knowing what an HO3 policy is and what an HO6 policy is. Which, does it matter? I don't know. Maybe it doesn't cost you a transaction, but it sure doesn't hurt to know it. So, you know, the more we know about the different professions, because remember, we're the ringmaster, and this is like a 15-ring circus when we're trying to put a transaction together. So one little piece of information might help you deal with one issue just a little bit better. So hope you can make it. Let your friends know. Everybody's invited. Well, we're capped at 25 people, but up to 25 people, everybody's invited. So until we cap out, then, you know, everybody can be there, and the food is going to be very good. So hope to see you all there. Well, that's all I got. Our next Ask the Broker is going to be on February 24th. Probably don't know what we're talking about, but I think it's going to be good. So if you want to know, you have to show up. All right, guys, that's all I got. Take care. Thank you.